always upheld and have not really endorsed racism. Remember, we are black people, and most of the black race actually came from this part of the world. When the slaves sang, "We shall overcome someday," it was said in history that it was Ghanaians who were coming from this part of the world who sang that song. And so around the nations of the world, the entire globe, the higher percentage of the black race really come from this part of the world. And so Ghanaians have always shown solidarity. Remember, when we were young students, we stood for the anti-apartheid movement. And then we also saw for anti-racism movement, and anything that has really undermined the credibility of the black man worldwide, we have stood against it. Remember, it is not just racism, it's anti-blackism. People hate us as a black community, and we have a lot of sarcasm that represents anything that is not good. Black magic, Black Friday, fetishism, and anything that is ugly, we refer to as black. We even look at the devil as a black thing. And so sometimes we really have to come to that place where we have understanding, a proper understanding of what racism really is. And also it has permeated into the rank and file of our Caucasian society, where young men and young women don't even understand the danger of racism. What we are seeing around the globe today with all these marches and this demonstration was very needless if people have not been racist-minded to undermine the credibility and the hard-won reputation of the black people. Most buildings you see in the world today, most developed nations, and what have been done to develop the stations were done by black people. I've had the privilege of studying in Europe, both in Hungary and in the UK. And I can tell you that most work that is done in those parts of the world, black people played a lot of role. And so we should not really forget the impact of the black. And it is very evil for one to take the law in your hands and to hate somebody because the person is black. God created us in his own image. And whether you are black or you are white, we are one people. When you cut me now and you cut a Caucasian, what will come out is blood. And this blood is same from heaven. So I think we have a responsibility. We really have a collective responsibility as a people and as nations of the world and as leaders to condemn in all certainty this issue of racism. Being anti-black is evil and must not be endorsed at all, must really be condemned at all levels. I'm standing here today as a religious leader, also as an intellectual, as an economist and an international relations aspirant. And from what I've read over the years in university, as a student of international relations, I can tell you that there's nowhere in the world has racism helped any community. It agitates people. The sort of marches and demonstrations we are seeing today, in this time of this pandemic where we are faced with a serious challenge of COVID-19, is very needless because somebody became racist and became anti-black to destroy one of us. So we have to come together in a massive united front, regardless of how rich you are, how blessed you are, how educated you are, and how poor you are. We all need to come together in the massive united front to fight racism. And I'm happy that most of our Caucasian brothers are seeing the wisdom in joining hands with we, the black people, to fight racism.
So do you think this demonstration that has been staged worldwide can actually change the narrative? Because right from Rosa Parks down to George Floyd, this is what America, or this is what blacks have been facing outside Africa.
I think it's always important for one to establish disapproval. An unacceptable act gives a wake-up call. So what is happening is a wake-up call to all and sundry around the world. There are people who are still racism in their mind, in their leadership, and they hide behind certain people to do certain things. So I think it's a wake-up call. Of course, in every demonstration, there'll be casualties, there'll be unfortunate incidents, because there are people who become so emotional and their approach becomes unacceptable. But whether we like it or not, this demonstration were very needless if we had not allowed this to happen in the first place. So they needed it to bring that wake-up call for everybody to know that we can't sit down again. We are proud to be blacks, and it's not our fault to be blacks. God made us black, And there's a reason why God makes it black. If you've already watched the keyboard before, there are black notes and white notes. And until you bring all those notes together, you don't have a rhythm. But for the black community, it wouldn't have been the existence of white community. And but for the white community, it wouldn't have been the existence. So we have to coexist. It's not our fault at all. It is unfair and very evil for one human being, or an individual human being, to wake up and stand because of his race, to undermine the credibility of another race. That is not acceptable.